What's up, guys? It's Twisty and it's Toast. It's 2026 Twisted Toast. It's going to be more F-bombs. There's going to be more talk shitting. There's going to be more of everything. Chiropractic is everything, but maybe it's not, and we'll learn that today from our special guest. Before we get it, we got a special guest, Dr. Dan Lyons, who I'm going to say this about Dan. So Melba, you guys have maybe met once based on what Dan told me. Dan bypasses much as your husband does. First of all, he's tall. He's very tall and handsome. He's sexy. He's actually. I'm going to talk about this at Mile. He's got a very sexy. His wife is very into him.
This sounds like it's going to be a very expensive podcast because I'm going to have to pay you a lot for all these time.
No, but there's also I'm going to talk some shit. We'll talk some shit too, bro. But it's okay. So listen, he is. There's very few men that can pull off bald. He can pull it off. Number two, and we'll talk about this.
Can I comment on that?
Yes, please.
You, in my opinion, based upon the AI pictures that you posted, are not someone
No.
who can pull off bald.
This is what I have my gift for gab. I can write songs. I can fucking grow businesses. But if I lose my hair, my wife's fucking leaving me. She's already told me that. So that's why I wear it all long and shit. But he's also he's one of the best, smartest people when it comes to Gonstead Chiropractic. We'll talk about that. His wife is very into him. I always love to see at seminars when wives are into their men, and she is fucking into you, dude. And
How
so,
can you tell? What is it that you see?
it's you just know she's the way she looks at him, the way she talks, the vibe thing. Like Kat's got that about me. That's why I finally found my one. Like I watched John Zawerka. Shout out John Zawerka. We went out when I went on my on-site in Rochester, New York, and I looked at his woman looking at him, and I was like, John, she's the one. You just fucking know, and it's exciting and happy to see because. Unfortunately, we're in a profession where there's a lot of fucking people that they don't have that, and it's bullshit behind the scenes. So, intelligent, sexy, smart, good husband. He might be retarded with his thoughts about chiropractic philosophy. But I want to get a scoop on
a second bottle of that bourbon in Denver.
I'm the only one that bought a bottle of that bourbon because everyone else there was fucking broke, and I will talk about that too. And Danny's gonna get pissed at me about this shit. But there's a reason why we need mixers in this profession, so there's some fucking money that comes in. Anyways, listen, Melba, how was your New Year?
Day and age.
How was your New Year's? What did you end up doing?
We went out to dinner with at our favorite restaurant. And
what restaurant is that? So we can Google it.
It's in Smyrna, Georgia. Smyrna. They're going to get you on that down here. It's called C&S Seafood.
Okay. Why did you guys choose that place? Why is that your favorite restaurant?
Well, I guess in the end, it's all because of the experience, right? My husband has made friends anyway with their manager. They just kind of clicked. They both like to wear suits.
Oh, knowing him, he's probably fucking just like Tim Schaub. He's going in there and adjusting them in the back.
And the manager for sure would definitely be on the same fashion.
Oh yeah. So I know. Anyway, I can already see it.
It's just always great though. All the servers, it's just real people, but recognizing even they're I think everybody recognizes their space when they're in a service industry and what you're supposed to do to serve. You know what I mean? And so they always give really good service, and it's all a great experience.
The question is, did you ring in the new year and
beautiful restaurant?
Did you ring in the new year and give your husband service into 2020?
Oh my God! Of course you would go there. That's so funny. Well, it doesn't matter anything that happened. We want to know what your wife allows you to say.
So here's what the fuck happened with us, man. We were supposed to do Molly and fuck for 2 days straight, and I was so busy building out chiropractic results that she got lost in the evening, and I said I wasn't going to drink, and I decided to drink, and I ended up listening to Oasis and videos from the tour this year and crying because so last year Kat danced. Not dance like she used to dance, but she loves freestyle music, like that 80s, Prince and shit like that. So last year it was her getting drunk, which she only get like 3 times a year that I get to have that, right? And then I watched her dance, and then she passed out. This year, she came down, she goes, "Are you crying?" I go, "Yeah, I'm drinking fucking whiskey and tequila." And then I threw up at 8 in the morning. I woke her up throwing up. And I said, okay, this is the second time in 6 months. I'm retiring. I always announce my retirement. I'll probably come out like Jordan always does and pull a goat time. Like I did with Dan in Denver when I went back-to-back championships of being the last one standing every fucking night in Denver. But my wife likes to remind me I'm going to be 40.
You were not standing, swaying.
Yeah, well, I was still up. I was still up. Dan, what'd you do for... My wife likes to remind me I'm going to be... She likes to tell me I'm going to be 50. I'm only going to be 43 next month. And but she just wants me to be old man, sit on the couch and sit there till we die. So I was so busy building chiropractic results and drinking. We didn't have our Molly fun. Dan, did you rig in the new year with fun and celebration? What'd you do?
We went out to dinner at a lovely Irish restaurant with our kids. Then we went over to some friend's house, hung out there for a couple hours, talked about last year, the new year. They opened an event space just like 200 yards from their house. It opened up Saturday, so we talked a little bit about that. Then we went home, and we went to Mexico for my birthday last month. And
where'd you go in Mexico?
Just to Mexico City. We ran down for 2 days.
When was your
saw
birthday?
A bunch of our friends from there, and it was actually, I needed a day off from that because we got in at noon on Friday, and we left at noon on Sunday, and it was nonstop. Got picked up, went to lunch, caught a quick nap, went to dinner, went to the mariachi bars, and all of a sudden it's 2 a.m. Came back, got up, had breakfast, went out to one of our buddies has 6 clinics, so he had his company Christmas dinner. Went there, that was fantastic, and then we went out to dinner one last time, got up and headed to the airport. So quick in and out. But
do you guys use any? Did you get any blow when you were there?
No.
Okay.
I blew my nose twice, but
When's your birthday?
December 15th.
Oh, awesome. My birthday's on the 19th.
Ah, see, another Sagittarius.
My brother.
What are Sagittarius? What are you guys known for?
Being freaking awesome.
Okay.
I was gonna say the same thing.
All right. Well, we're here in 2026, and before we dive in, guys, number one thing is if you guys want to get a red light therapy unit and stay true to chiropractic, as Dan and I are going to discuss here, you need a badass red light machine in your office. Not that one makes you look like a pussy or that makes you look like you bought it off Amazon. You want a bed that looks like you were in the 1980s tanning salon and had a VHS movie store also. Those are great businesses. Those should come back. If you want to grow your practice with red light and beyond, you want to head over to myredlightspecial.com, and Twisty and Toast got $3,500 for you to use towards your next red light equipment. That's myredlightspecial.com. That's how we make money doing this. Support us, because we're giving you $3,500 back when we could have kept it. All right, Dan, on that note, I think chiropractic is you wrote to me and said, hey, some really nice things. We've had some commentary on social. You have your opinion. I have mine. In fact, you got me so riled up one night. I used your beautiful bald head as the silhouette for my website, Chiropractic is Everything, which if you guys go to chiropracticiseverything.com, it's basically, it will say yes to everything. But there's some Easter eggs in there. Have some fun with some names in there. I put some fun Easter eggs if you want to type from my blast from my past. Maybe we'll talk about that. But overall, Dan and I have disagreed that chiropractic is everything. I've shared my beliefs enough. I want to get Dan's take. What the fuck is chiropractic, bro?
It's a philosophy, science, and art of things natural, a system of adjusting the segments of the spinal column by hand only for the correction of the cause of dis-ease. Period. That's it.
Dis-ease. I heard everything in there, bro. How am I wrong?
A system of adjusting the segments of the spinal column by hand only for the correction of the
So let me get your take.
I didn't
Hold
put a
on.
red laser in there.
Hold on.
Shockwave.
Hold on. I want to get your take on this first. And you state your case. What do you think about activators?
You are still using your hands.
Do you think they're pussies though?
No.
Activator works, dude.
You know, I know that. My dad told me that my grandfather used to shit on people because he was an old grumpy man, and he used to say that guy didn't know how to adjust the fine tune of his old television set, which I have an old television set behind me now, and he used to have to tune those, and that's how old my grandfather was. When he died, my father found a new mentor. His name was Cruz Howell. He was the president of the New York ACA. So my grandfather also hated him because he was the president of the ACA. But Cruz taught a biocranio technique, and he also used activator. And I remember my dad finally used an activator, and I thought for the first year, I'm like, you're a sellout. So I just want to get his take. We can talk the truth on here. If you're using an activator, you might not be as much of a man as Dan is, because that's the guy who uses Gonstead. Now, there's a reason let's go deeper on this. And Melba, any questions that you have, go into this. So Shockwave, soft wave, you're not adjusting, but you're using the hand. How is that not chiropractic?
Because it's not correcting a subluxation.
But what if it does? What if innate just happens?
Well, I mean, yeah, you could sit there. I could take, here I got a flashlight here. When you're talking red light, I pulled out my flashlight. So I'm gonna blind you there for a second.
Does it have
to
be?
But I could throw this if I was really good. I could throw this, and if I threw it just right and hit the right spot, that would be a force that could correct the subluxation. But that's not even, correction of subluxations nowhere in soft wave, shockwave, whatever it's called, nowhere in their literature.
Do you think Didi and Melba, hold on to your question, then hold that in your head. Do you think Didi was correcting subluxations with energy work he was doing, or what's the history? What's the problem? Like, give me the scoop on what we know.
So, I mean, Didi was a brilliant guy. I mean, everybody likes to denigrate him and say he was, just a fish peddler, a grocer. He was a smart dude. He invented the fish tank that let them transport fish, because you need a lot of surface area to exchange the oxygen. So before then, you couldn't transport fish. So he had made a fish tank that was not deep, but real wide, long and wide, so that the fish could get the oxygen out of the air.
Yeah.
So he was an inventor. He was always looking for things, and everything evolved. Chiropractic's not the only healing art out there. Acupuncture, there's a lot of different things. So he was helping people, but then once he discovered chiropractic, he didn't backpedal and go back into the therapeutic touch he was doing, and it was chiropractic. That was the thing.
I appreciate that. I'm listening. Melba, you had something that you were coming up on the activator and other things. Go ahead.
Oh, my question was going to be so if you're talking about the subluxation, and you're only talking about hands-on with that, so then are you only referring to the vertebral subluxation? Because I would think, from my understanding, that the subluxation really is it's an interference within that central nervous system, and they can come from the vertebra, certainly, and any joint ultimately. And if we're going to branch out into the ideologies of the pulse wave type technology, isn't their ultimate goal to kind of bridge some interference at a deeper cellular level? So I mean, I'm just kind of throwing those ideas out when do we have to further define the subluxation, which certainly has always been a challenge, it sounds like, in our industry?
Well, I don't think it's been a challenge. It's just people try to redefine it to suit their causes, and it's like you've got, was it Felicia and I forget the gentleman, came up with, the vertebral subluxation complex with the 5 components. And then someone came up, they got 7 one. I think there's one with 9 and one with 11. Everybody's got they want their 15 minutes of fame. I remember Christopher Kent on Purpose one time was made a joke about the MPU, which was the minimal publishable unit. And if you have a paper and you can split it up into 3 papers, to get 3 more citations out there. Don't publish 1, publish 3. And it's kind of like that. Everybody wants to reinvent something that doesn't need reinventing so they can put their name on it.
But so again, we hung out at Mile High, Danny, and is what Donnie and Danny doing? Is that adjusting then?
There you go, Mile High 13.
I mean, there's people that could argue what Danny and Donnie do. First of all, my favorite Donnie story, if you guys never heard this before, is he was teaching in Australia, and a couple months later, one of the guys called him and goes, "It's not working anymore," meaning network wasn't working. It just wasn't getting the same results. And he goes, "I turned it off on you."
Donnie said that?
Yeah. That's the story that I heard. It was a mastermind that we were at in L.A. with him, and I thought that was brilliant. But what do you? So is network, is that chiropractic? Does that because there's
network is. Donnie goes back and forth. Donnie has been on record being it is, it isn't. Should he take it out? There's parts of it. I've been adjusted. I went to. I've been going Mile High. This is 7, 8 times. My first time I went, I think, was 2017 or 18. My wife spoke out there.
Yeah.
And we had just had our biggest Gonstead seminar of the year. It's always in April. It's at the clinic in Mount Horeb.
Yeah.
Which, if no one's been to the clinic in Mount Horeb, you got to go. I mean,
we're going to dive into some cool shit about this in a minute.
It's the most iconic. Clinic.
Do they still have the Cadillac there?
We have the Cadillac there.
Let's fucking go!
So
that is a beautiful Cadillac, Melba.
You can get a tour in it, a tour of the town.
His Cadillac he had.
Yeah. Well, it was actually originally for Elvis. Elvis didn't want it. He said, "That's an old man's car." Clarence heard about it, said, "I'll take that. I'm an old man." And so it's at the clinic. And, you can stay. Clarence's house, he has a little guest cottage there, and you can rent that out. You go to, I think it's Gonstead Guest Cottage. Look that up. You can rent that out on the weekend. Cute little place.
So we'll sum this up because Danny's going to come on here in a couple of weeks here, Melba, and we're going to stay. Hey Danny, little Danny, and Big Donnie, we love you, but what you doing ain't chiropractic, bro.
I didn't say that.
Oh, come on!
I didn't say that. So. Anyway, so we had just had this seminar, and I'm at Mile High, and there's a student from Life West that's out there, and talking to a bunch of people, and she's like, "Hi, Dr. Lyons." I'm like, "Hi," and she's like standing off, so I know she wants to talk to me.
Yeah.
So when I can step out, I go over by her, and she kind of takes me around the corner away from everybody, and she's like, "What are you doing here?" I say, "What do you mean? I don't understand the question." She goes, "Well, this isn't a Gonstead seminar."
Right.
And I said, "Did I miss a board meeting? I'm on, all the boards. We don't have any rules that you can't only go to Gonstead seminars."
Yeah.
And she goes, "But I saw you talking to Donnie Epstein." I'm like, "Same question. How do I talk to people? How do you not, learn?" And she goes, "But then I saw you had Donnie check you and adjust you." I'm like, same thing. I mean, you got to learn.
Yeah.
When one of my mentors was Dr. Phyllis Markham, and she's the person that really got Clarence to start teaching.
Yeah.
She ran his X-ray department. Oh, here. So there's you can't really see that. So Dr. Phyllis is in the middle.
Yep.
That's Larry Troxel over there, and that's C.C. Richelieu, who was the world's best banjo player. So these two are like my grandparents. He was my hometown celebrity, and one of my first seminars I went to, I walk in and I hear, "As I live and breathe, Dan Lyons, I haven't seen you since you were playing ball in high school." And it was Mr. Richelieu. So he introduced me to Dr. Phyllis. And anyway, so when she first got out of chiropractic college, she took her then husband and 3 other friends that were all coming back to the Mount Horeb area to Dr. Gonstead to learn how he was what he did. And that seminar lasted like 10 minutes, and he kicked them out, said, "Get out." And she begged, and he said, "You don't even know the things that you need to know in order for me to teach you what you want to know." And so she begged and he said, okay, but you have to learn a bunch of stuff. And some of it was Desjardins SOT. Some of it was Illy's work. There was 5 different books. And I just went over them all at a Meeting of the Mind seminar a couple of months ago. But they had to learn other non-Gonstead things. There wasn't a Gonstead textbook at the time, though.
Yeah.
So if you don't talk to people that aren't doing what you do, you don't ever grow. You don't ever
I do think that there's a thing about gonroids. You guys still call you guys stuff that? Is that?
We don't call ourselves that. All the people that are envious of us call us gonroids.
Yeah, you guys look. It's just like medical specialty. I've always said that.
I've heard it before.
You have okay. So there's in medical specialties like OBGYNs are perverts. They're looking at like and the women one or the female ones are actually more of the perverts. The plastic surgeons are the weirdos. The internists are the kind of the nerds. The upper cervical and Gonstead guys, I think, are like your orthos. They got the big egos because they get fucking big results and they get big paid. They're usually the last resort for a lot of stuff. Right? So like, but there's an ego. I know I work with a lot of gonroid guys, and there should be that confidence. Why is Gonstead so much better, and why would you tell students, hey, don't go to fucking Nuka, don't do AO, do Gonstead? Why or why not?
Well, it's interesting that you pit Gonstead against 2 upper cervical techniques, because in school, everybody's so tribal and the technique people don't get along. But if they do, it is the Gonstead folks with the upper cervical folks that get along.
I just think that you guys are the top. I really, my data and and everything that I've analyzed over the years. But there's also the 2 biggest egos in the profession. I'm just gonna say. So
maybe.
You ain't seen pregnancy and prenatal bitches out there going like I'm the best technique out there.
No, but that's because if you're in that field, you're a softer person.
You guys could walk over Webster people at any step. I mean, you scare the shit out of Webster people.
That's funny.
But you're doing like.
You ask, why is it better?
What's that, Melba? Melba, what was that?
People that use Webster use Gonstead.
Well, I'm sure.
Well, for example.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why is Gonstead so fucking awesome? And I'll give my opinion afterwards.
Okay, so Gonstead, there's 6 basic categories of tools that every chiropractor has at their disposal if they choose. You got a history, you got visualization, you have motion palpation, static palpation, x-ray, and instrumentation.
Yeah.
Gonstead uses all those.
Yep,
Most upper cervical techniques use all those. Most of the rest of the profession uses, does it hurt here? And they use motion palpation as a standalone, which time and time again is the least reliable tool, because you're touching the skin, and if you're in Orange County, California, everybody's pretty fit, so you got maybe an inch between the spinous process and the surface of the skin, and then you go to Green Bay, and you got this much space in between. You got there.
He's right. Sometimes. I'll say this, man. And the reason I put Gonstead and upper cervical up on that pedestal too is I think you guys are best positioned to do what I think we should be doing in the profession, which is selling the check and prevention and annual exams and stealing a little bit from the allopathic world. And it's more about the check and selling the check. And we just did this last week on our show. Yeah, we do agree. We do agree. I just think. Why did Dan stop recording? Dan, did something happen on your thing? Okay. Melba, you still there? Dan's got to come back in, I think. All right. Hello? All right. Well, we can talk shit. So did you? Oh wait, there so he's back. Okay. So
we agree.
So we agree. Yeah, and I love Gonstead because I love. There's a chiropractor who I have a major bro crush on, even though she's a chick. Vera Gupta in New Jersey. I don't know if she does Gonstead. She's a Schofield girl. Amazing. But she's doing what Gonstead was doing, and I think the research behind it, which was I am of the same point. Why are we fucking doing 36 care visits? Why aren't we doing what Clarence did with more people? Why aren't we bringing people in and seeing them in a high frequency? Because the data and the analysis and the research is showing us that the same 15 adjustments, actually even done more frequently and faster, has a better outcome result, better data on what it's doing neurologically. Like, tell me more about that, because that's got to be something you're really into.
You know, I've never seen any of that data. We just hear the stories of what Clarence was doing, and unfortunately, the number of people that actually knew him is shrinking incredibly.
Yeah, but he used to, that's the whole. They flew people out. That's where you're doing your training. Yeah,
I mean, he had to build when he built the current clinic in the early '60s. The city asked him to build a hotel. The town. I mean, right now there's only like 7,000 people in that town, and they asked him to build a hotel because everybody in that town had boarders. They always had people staying there, and they were his patients that would come from all over to see him. And you know, part of it is I think that my mentor Larry Troxel told me one time that Clarence told him that the further a patient came to see him, the better results they got, and it's partly because they're bought in.
More invested.
I got to be this, and there's all kinds of stories you hear. I know I was talking with someone that worked there. This 20 years ago. My first office was in my hometown, which was 21 miles from the clinic, and this gal came in. She had been a front desk staff there, and she was telling me that there was a guy from somewhere in Ohio that had come up, spent a week and a half at the hotel getting adjusted, and then 2 times a day, and then Clarence saw him one night and said, "Okay, you're all good," and he goes, "I don't feel any different." Clarence says, "You're fine," and the guy went and paid his bill and told her, "Find a new job. The old man's losing it. I'm no better." And then he stopped in Chicago to get dinner and realized that he was better, and he called up and said, "That man's a genius." But that's part of the checking instead of just assuming and adjusting.
Yeah.
Using the scope.
That's what I have a lot of respect for that. And you're doing. Do you have a course? Tell us what you're doing and how you're helping and what you got coming up and how you're making better docs and better chiropractors out there.
So I got a bunch of stuff I'm working on, but tonight I'm going to post it. Tomorrow it'll officially be launched. But masterclass webinar on X-ray, because very few in the profession really use X-ray, and I do consulting for 2020 X-ray, which is the top dog in the chiropractic X-ray space, and most people are shooting sectionals. Now we have a 48-inch panel, so you can take full spine X-rays. If Shaq was in my office,
we gotta give a little to Mike Tokash. Love to Mike up there, up in the sky up there.
Yeah.
One of the best dudes ever.
Yeah.
There are more people out there that support, like me. I call them the chiropractic advocates. He was one of the best fucking ones ever. Love and shout out to Mike Tokash.
Yeah.
Okay.
That
so
was
teaching
a shock when that
was a when you. So what are besides not doing X-rays, let's just we already know that's the fucking one of the biggest things, right?
Yep.
Let's just talk about the ones that are doing it. Where are they fucking it up, and how can you help make them better to help support what they do?
Well, X-ray interpretation and really understanding what's going on is not just putting the lines on the film, and that's what people tend to do. When you look at a film, you should know, was that patient positioned correctly? There's things you can tell, and you're never adjusting a film. Dr. Phyllis always said, you can never adjust a film. You have to adjust the patient. So sometimes they don't agree, but there's always the story. And my wife always uses the breaded pathway. If you gave a mouse a cookie, then he's going to want a glass of milk, and you got to lead that down there. I think more Hansel and Gretel. I use all the children's stories like that. They leave those little bread trail of crumbs.
Yeah.
So and the body does that. And X-ray is incredible at that. My wife has facet tropism. And so when she was in school, she had...
Is that attracted to tall, handsome, bald guys, or what? What is that?
That's what attracted her to the tall, handsome, bald guy. But you have tropism, so your low back doesn't move the right way. So if you're just palpating, then you've got a problem there. But even if you take x-rays, a lot of people miss the facet tropism because they're just not looking. They just put their lines on the pelvis and they say, okay, that's ASIN and that's a posterior left sacrum, and they never go any deeper than that. And that's not the story.
Yeah.
That's where the story, that's the cover of the book. And then there's a bunch of things that Gonstead didn't measure that are important for us to look at and measure. And those
what are those? What are those?
There's a pelvic incidence angle is an important one because it helps you predict what your lumbar curve should be. And there's enough research out there that shows that, the pelvic incidence angle is a very high correlation with your sacral slope or Ferguson's angle, which then tells you what your lumbar lordosis should be. Lumbar lordosis is an accurate predictor of thoracic kyphosis. Thoracic kyphosis is an accurate predictor of T1 slope and then of cervical curve. So in theory, in an unsubluxated world, from your pelvic incidence angle, you should be able to see the development of the spine, barring any damage or subluxation. But when those numbers don't jive, then you have to figure out why. And those are the things that help you get better results. Because it's not about the adjustment, it's about patients getting well so they can see the value and refer back.
Yeah, we are all in agreement on that. All right, Melba, is this exciting you about Gonstead? Is this making you want to go back? Am I lost, Melba?
Love
No.
an opportunity to stay educated, and to Dr. Dan's point about just learning from other people, and even being reminded of things that you may have once learned but don't so much regularly practice, stuff like that, staying fresh on the roots, if you will, even. But I completely agree with x-rays. I x-ray every single person. There's so many things that can be revealed. I send everybody to Life University, though. I get a radiology report. I don't do like lines on the x-rays. I do a flexion extension on the neck, which I love, and do like a motion study that way. But I also think, kind of coming back to what you were saying earlier about upper cervical and Gonstead people, I think that a reason why people probably compare them a lot to each other is that they both have a pretty detailed analysis of that upper cervical region, right? And in a practice approach based upon the information that they get from that, right? And I think that the take home globally could be, if you're going to look outside of Gonstead, which again, I love Gonstead. I do seated chair adjustments. I definitely do, like, dare I say, the motorcycles. My patients might like to say it, the kick moves on the side posture. But I think globally, X-ray tells us so much information about a patient. It does tell the story, like you're saying. It tells you degeneration, which are timelines of subluxation in the spine. So yeah, I love X-rays.
All the traumas they don't mention that you see in the X-ray, and then you ask them, and then.
Well, tell us more about where can they go sign up and learn more, and how can they follow you, Dan? And you can lead them you can lead at least the ones that will get it. If they get it, they get it. If they don't, they don't.
Yep.
But what tell us give us the promo stuff.
So I have the Facebook page that I'm viewing right now is my Dr. Dan Lyons page. It'll be posted there. I have a website, immortalchiro.com.
Ooh, I like that.
And, it's kind of like there's very few chiropractors that have attained immortality. You got Dee BJ, Clarence Gonstead, you got Clay Thompson. I mean, there's a handful of people.
Let's keep going. Okay. Fabrizio. We got Fabrizio. We got Donnie. We'll throw in there. The Y-strap guy. The Y-strap guy should be on there, dude.
No, that's infamous. But those guys are still alive.
All right, Dan, now I'm going to get you going here, brother. Okay.
So
yeah.
Immortal.com, up there I have two things. I have a master class that I did in 2020 that this one will expand upon. And then I have, if you are a 2020 X-ray user, the tools, I have a class that teaches you how to use all the tools that are available to you. There's so many things there, and people call me all the time. How do I do this? Like, here, just buy this, and you can learn how to use all the different tools that are available to you.
Well, look at that. All the shout-outs for 2020. I got to give love again to Mike Tokash, but I got to give a big fuck you to Nathan Dominguez out there, who unfriended me years ago for something I said. I don't fucking know. I don't give a shit. Now I'm going to go back there. Hey, guys, so before we do that, 3 reasons that someone should jump on your masterclass, Dan. What's the top 3 reasons?
You're going to have more confidence, you're going to get better results, and your practice will grow.
I didn't hear that you get a bigger dick, but those 3 are good enough for me. So, Dan, let's talk about what's pissing you off. Okay.
What's pissing
Because what is pissing Dan Lyons off in chiropractic today and with chiropractors, and what should we be concerned about that maybe we're not seeing, that your good vision is seeing? Give me the scope.
I would say pisses me off because that's a waste of my time. But BJ saw this. The very DD started the Palmer School, and a few years later, the very next chiropractic school started just down the street from him, and it was a mixing school. So yeah. There is chiropractic, and there is other things. Those other things are helpful for the body very often, at least in getting out of pain. But that doesn't make it chiropractic. And so we have what chiropractic is, and then we have what the laws allow us to do, and they kind of get lumped in. If I go and change my oil in my car, that doesn't mean I'm also a mechanic. But
I feel you on this. I want to give levity to this. And my argument has been, I agree. So I went through my year of hate straight with Sean and fucking Fatty Garber and Liam Stubel and fucking Angry Steve. Angry Steve's another one out there. Steve's a good-looking dude. He just scored the game of his life with his new wife. Dude should be fucking happier and friendlier. He's so angry about Tick, So I'm glad that you're not wasting your time with Tick. But shout out to Steve. He's an angry man, but I love him.
He's trying to protect the.
So, but here's my thing is we haven't gotten anywhere with trying. In fact, I think one, and this is proof I have data. More principal chiropractors are broke than ever. That doesn't mean that that's the answer. So let me just say it doesn't mean we sell out and we got to do this, but. My belief has become, okay, we tried to define in Dewey Decimal and put it into the little fucking card in the library. It ain't working. We're now letting see fucking other motherfuckers get into the longevity game, which we should have owned before. We own everything from pain to mindset to mental wellness.
What do you mean we own it? We don't own that.
We do. We should own it. We should own it. We should own it.
Why? Because chiropractic is everything.
Because chiropractic is everything. I'm hearing you, dude. I'm hearing you.
We are an essential ingredient to those things, but we are not the only ingredient. Like if you're trying to make a cake or make the bourbon, if you only had one ingredient to put in that bourbon, water, which is the
I should be dead, Dan, and the only reason that's kept me alive is chiropractic.
but that one ingredient does not make bourbon. You have to have all those other things. And
I appreciate that. Okay.
Well, so that even being said means that all these other things are part of chiropractic.
No, it doesn't. If it's not location analysis.
Let me do this. Let me teach a lesson. Let me. This is a good. This is. Oh, I bought
the young one that doesn't practice teaching us something about chiropractic.
Right.
That's good though. Different perspective.
I bought this for our show, Mel. But we're gonna do. I didn't break it out enough time. This will be It's called the Cash Blaster. It's a gun.
Oh, I've got one of those.
We shoot out money. This is your money shot right now for this show today. You can have cognitive dissonance and you can agree to disagree, and that's the beauty of what conversations like this can happen. We should have more of these conversations. What I want to do here is I want to do for both sides. This is a lesson in empathy and finding a kernel of truth. This is where we find agreement, and this is sales training. So for me, I can find a kernel of truth in exactly what you're saying, that like if we let it go past what the chiropractor is allowed to do, you can lose what chiropractic is all about. This is my argument, if you can hear me out on this. I believe that we're not a profession anymore, and we are professionals, and it's more about caring about the professional now and what the professional can do, not the profession. Because I think the Wild West is upon us again, as it always comes up in waves. And we're just going to keep losing ground in opportunities of essential ingredients, like you said. And that we should be more, where I would like to see Dan Lyons is at FCA, not at Mile High. Dan doesn't, you don't not go to Mile High. I'm not saying don't.
The Florida Chiropractic stuff?
Yes. Because, a big Conrad... A big gun, one of my favorite, David Steinberg, who's I loved. Dave came there last year. Now he's wearing his baseball cap, but he's like hiding himself because he doesn't want people to see him at FCA. Now I'm calling his ass out because he was there. But, he's like, I got to wipe the shit off me because of all the stuff that's being sold there. I'm like, this is the reality of the world that when I was with one of my exes, she was doing Florida Chiropractic Society recruitment, and there was 26 guys in there, all with their fucking horrible shoes and horrible pants. And they said, I love chiropractic, but I also like nutrition. And I also like, supplements and stuff. And I'm like, why are you whispering that? They're like, because it's, this is the DE crew. And basically, and I'm like, well, fuck what DE says about, it's getting tiring and boring. Like we are in there's no way we're out of the health profession. Are we ever getting out of the health profession? That would be do you think we're ever, then we got to fucking be everything before some other motherfucker comes along, which they have been doing, and takes it. This is the best. We fucked up during COVID. And one of those motherfuckers was a really great mind of upper cervical, who we both know, who was telling people, don't fucking tell this story. Don't fucking tell them the wrong shit. And we were wrong. We fucked up. And then now we have MDs and people are going back and going, man, allopathic, holistic, and we own. I believe, because that's what I believe. What I grew up with, we own that space of holistic alternative healthcare, and I think we're losing that grip right now too, because we're fighting too much about defining what chiropractic is when it's everything. Can you find a kernel of truth in that?
I'm trying.
Okay.
I know. I'd say
at least you're trying, brother.
Right. So the healthcare ladder is, in everybody's mind, healthcare is I hurt, I don't want to hurt, and the hospital and the medical doctor.
But it's shifting to now I want to live longer and live better, fuck longer, eat better, poop better. It's turning into functional optimization. We are at the precipice of it right before our eyes.
But if you do everything, but that's a different ladder. It shouldn't be healthcare. I have patients come in and I say, what is healthcare? And like, well, they give you a bunch of different things. I'm like, that's crisis care. If you have a problem, when you show up at the doctor, when you have the provider, when you have the problem, that is not healthcare because you're not healthy. So we have to create a different space for them. Yeah. And if we are everything, if we become a Walmart one-stop shop, no one knows what chiropractic is. Let me shift you. I agree with you. 30 years ago, we were talking about, all we heard about was the tipping point. When we get the chiropractic utilization gets to 14, 15%, it's the tipping point. We're still not there. It's like 8% of the population is currently under there.
Well, that data's skewed. It's larger than that. But I agree. 100% we should never become the Walmart and everything. But let me challenge you on this. What if we're the people? You're the everything. What if we're? But here's why. Because and the same thing I'm doing with chiropractic results, it should be used as a utility. It's PG&E. It's your electric. It's your spectrum. It's something you can't go without. That, to me, is like, it's the precipice now is that we can become the utility of health, longevity, optimization, and a utility is something I gotta have, which means also it needs to be given to people that are poor for free. And this is what dentistry figured out. This is why I think Gonstead and Upper Circle is prepped for doing this with annual exams. Dentistry figured out years ago, man, if it's so important, you give it away to people that can't afford it. Then rich people go, oh, it's so damn important, I gotta have it. What most people, and this is me being on 22 on-sites this last year, this is what the people, and this is the most important thing. What you and I are saying inside the industry doesn't matter what, anything matters unless the people matter, and people get it, and the people matter more. So my point is what they say is, they think it's a luxury. They think it's like women who are 40 to 45 are going, oh, I can finally afford this because my husband's now making more money. It shouldn't be thought of like that. It's got to be a utility. So you guys, here's my challenge, and this is what you have the ability to help change. What can it be? How do we redefine, but not redefine what it is?
There is no way to do it. The problem, when you look at all those other things, so medicine, the allopathy doesn't happen without the drug companies. There's your consumables, big pharma.
Yeah.
If you go into the dental world, you've got toothbrushes, you've got toothpaste, you've got all these other things that are going in there. Plus, then you've got your checkups. Well, now I got to drill for cavities, so now you got to have anesthetic. You've got the.
So you're making my argument, brother. So you got your red light, you got your Shockwave, you got.
But that's not correcting the subluxation. And so
but neither is brushing a teeth.
It's face paper. That's the only consumable we have, and they're not. I live in the paper valley.
Subluxation has to be spinal, correct?
Pardon?
Are you saying then that the only subluxation is the spinal subluxation?
No, I adjust extremities, and I know I'll get some. I always get all my hate straight buddies, especially when I was in school, would be like, "You adjust extremities, you're a mixer." I'm like, if Clarence Gonstead were here, would you call him a mixer to his face? And they'd be like, shut up then.
So then you're saying any joints?
There's
subluxation.
There's vertebral subluxation, and then there's other joints that are subluxated, but they're not the same. If I
want to get. We're running on.
I sprained this joint, maybe subluxated it, so I've been taping it up.
We're gonna have to have Dan come back on here at some point.
Yes, but
you're good. This is a great conversation.
System. It causes pain, but it's not interfering with the mental impulse from my brain to the body.
All right, so big thing is protecting the tick, and I got to give respect and love and empathy for that. We're going to keep agreeing to disagree, but I am right, and everyone will realize that. And so the second part of that is, what about what's going on in the board? Is the board thing? Do you give a shit about that? Did you think?
Oh, the national
we're wasting?
Thing.
It's a ridiculous thing. I mean,
you think so?
Thing? Is that what you're talking about?
I think medical doctors don't have nearly the amount of boards that we have to go through, and at the cost. I mean, I think that needs to be canceled. I mean, I think
a lot of people are figuring out medical doctors aren't as smart as we thought they were from the 80s and 90s, and now you're realizing what fucking retards they were. On that note, do you think that we've let through all the schools people that shouldn't be in this profession, because the school's job, just like selling a franchise, this is the thing. People are like, I'm going to franchise. You know what a franchise becomes? Just something you got to keep selling to sell more fucking franchises. And then the brand gets diluted. And then it's just, the school systems are designed to do what? Get more students. Is the real problem that we're just letting anyone in that shouldn't be allowed in? This is one of my biggest arguments I always have. Do the boards keep them out?
The boards don't keep them out. I don't think that the schools, there's always people that graduate from every school, every profession that shouldn't be there. I say, there's surgeons that I wouldn't let slice my bread, and there's chiropractors that I wouldn't let adjust my old radio dial.
Now you sound like my grandfather. I love it, Dan. I love it.
Well, it's all the gray. It's all the gray I have. So there's good and bad in everything. It's always a spectrum. And the schools, instead of putting out the best quality chiropractors, they're trying to put out people that pass boards. And that's part of the problem. When you get the FCLB and all those different organizations, the CCE involved, they have never increased the quality of the chiropractor. They are just taking money out of the profession. And there's like my mentor graduated from chiropractic college in 1967. It was $84 a quarter to go to school. He was able to. He worked part-time in a garage parting wrecked cars, and graduated with no student debt and enough money to open his practice.
Yeah, the student debt thing is more the bigger issue.
Between the schools, the federal government with the guaranteed student loans, it's just ridiculous. The tuition's $11,000 a semester right now, and you got 10.
That's not isolated to chiropractic, though. All tuition went up across the board in every university because of exactly what you just said. So we can't isolate that it's just that.
No,
true.
But the other professions that are doing that are, well, I guess every profession, everybody that goes to school, their wages, their salaries have not gone up at a commensurate rate to keep up with their student loan debt.
Well, that's why they got to go see my buddy and the fellow biggest gonroid I love, Dan Bay at Close for Chiro. Shout out Dan Bay and making close. You know what? Dan is proof in the pudding. Let me just say something here. Close for Chiro has increased their fees 4.5 times in the last 7 years. And, hey, I want to leave on a good note, though, positive note. What excites you about TIC and chiropractors? What's making you happy and smile? So what's the antithesis of what's pissing you off? What are you excited about in 2026 and beyond for chiropractic and chiropractors?
The potential. All these people that are coming to the seminar so they get learned. Especially when I go out of the country, I go down to Mexico and I'm going over to Sweden here next month and teach. Those people are so hungry for our philosophy and to learn the Gonstead work. It's amazing.
It's also, this is just something I got to tell guys going, they like to fuck over in Europe. Like, so if you're a single guy and you want, like, don't go to Europe, go to one of those, like, those seminars that Dan's teaching over, because they smell different. I'll say that. Like, you got to get over that. But they like to bang over there. So, Dan,
you're not single. How do you know that?
I used to be back in the day. I know, you know. So, oh shit, she probably heard me. I'm gonna get hit here in a second. Okay, there's a little sign. There's a sign of abuse if you go in a I always do this when I go into stores.
Oh my God, do not mock that. Don't be ridiculous.
I'm just like, she's hurting me. She's Asian and angry. Dan, I want to thank you for jamming. I want to thank you for always. Look, we need people that can push each other also to think differently and think better. And the fact that you're open. I also want to give credit to Dan for, again, great minds think alike. We were stuck in a bar that was closed down the last night at Mile High. Dan was the only non-pussy to not. He went behind the fucking bar, got the wine bottles out. That was a moment I had such respect for you, brother. That like the party is not shutting down. You don't let it go down at night. So. Thank you for jamming with us, and thank you for being our first guest of the new year, dude.
You betcha. Proud to be here.
Yes, indeed.
Hey, Dan doesn't want to hear this, but head over to myredlightspecial.com, get your $3,500 off, and jam with us today. Also, head on over to Dan's Facebook. We'll put the links in for everyone, and get on his course. Get a scope, man. Hey, do you have antique ones or anything like? Is there old ones that people sell out there?
Yeah. Hold on a second here.
Before we go, I think that would be a cool thing for my podcast studio. Like, I have all this cool shit. Some of the shit you can't even see now, but like, I'm all into the phones. I got all these phones coming in here.
So
what year is that?
I think you can still get one of these. Here's an old Nervoscope that you can't move the terminals on.
How old are those, Dan?
This one is probably close to 80 years old.
No shit, dude. That's cool.
Here's one of the first battery-powered Temposcopes. And battery is dead, it looks like, so I got to replace that. And then over here, let me see if I can get this out. I have like 20-some scopes. I have 4 or 5 back there. I have 2 more up there.
I love it, Dan.
This
Dan.
one was the oldest working model, and I got a guy that's going to work on it and try and rebuild it.
How old is that?
I don't know. This one's probably close to 100 years old.
That is badass, dude. Dan the man, get your Gonstead fucking game on, get your X-ray game on, and help make yourself better so you can be more confident. You can help your community better. Hey, Happy New Year to everyone, and we're gonna jam later. Thanks for jamming today, guys.
You betcha. Happy New Year.
Bye.